the Premier League was insane. I mean, brace yourselves, because what happened this weekend, I'm still trying to make sense of it. This is the Prem Catchup, covering every game. Right, let's go. Arsenal 4, Crystal Palace 1. I can't believe Arsenal. They are the real deal. Here they are being presented with Crystal Palace. A Crystal Palace who weirdly, for this match, replaced one Paddy with another. Out goes Vieira, in comes McCarthy. Again, so many Paddies floating around, you'd swear this was a pub in Roscommon. But Arsenal, a bit like Meghan Markle at Christmas time, they're terrified of the Palace. I mean, you really think she wants to watch Django with the King? 4 years, they have been their bogey team. Since 2016, they failed to beat them 9 times. I mean, there's 2 spineless 3-0 defeats chucked in there. They went nearly 3 years of being able to beat a team coached by Roy Hodgson. More on him in a bit. And yet here, forget the new manager bounce. This was pure ease. 4-1, goals from Martinelli, 2 from Saka, 1 from Xhaka, and the fans singing Vieira's name after every single one. Yeah, I don't want to spoil your memory of him, lads, but he did beg Harry Redknapp to bring him to Spurs once. I mean, you're overlooking it. Fine. And that's about like choosing to overlook your girlfriend who once begged your stepdad for a kiss. But listen, Arsenal were merciless. Absolutely sweeping through Crystal Palace as if the opposition were made of cheese. Mikel Arteta. None of this makes sense. This is his first management job. He has got 0 experience. How? How do Arsenal have nearly 70 points and still have 10 games left to play? Usually by March, Arsenal are mathematically out of the title race. But now, we are 1 week off April and the Gunners are still mathematically able to finish on 99 points. That is 3 more wins than the Invincibles. None of this makes any sense. This is freakish. Arteta should not be this good. It ruins everything we know about managers. That they need time and different clubs to learn the ropes. They need to get sacked first to become any good. Lads, Steven Gerrard and Frank Lampard are still viewed as coaching babies. And yeah, they've been combined 5 jobs as manager. Arteta is not making those 2 look good. Arteta's gone from sitting on Guardiola's lap to hunting down the title. I don't get it. Does Guardiola have some sort of fairy dust on his knee? Is it a case of if you hang around him long enough, you're going to become a world-class coach? Lads, Sir Alex Ferguson was the opposite. Most of the players who played under him became awful managers. Really, really bad. I don't know why. Give Me Sport ranked all 37, and lads, when Steve Bruce is number 4 on the list, when Gordon Strachan is seen as the 2nd best coach, when the manager of Bradford City is coming in 3rd, when Paul Ince and Ryan Giggs both make the top 10, you know something is seriously wrong. I mean, Ferguson has made a career out of getting jobs from Peterborough, and he's still ranked as high as 9th. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is top 5. Brian Robson is a failed Thailand manager, and he comes in at 6th. It's slim pickings. It's like a woman in a caravan who keeps giving birth to kids who just grow up to fail every exam at school. Yeah, I'd be beginning to think that Fergie might have poison in his breast milk, but Pep is the opposite. His disciples, the likes of Vincent Kompany, Xabi Alonso, Mikel Arteta, Xavi, are seen as the next breed of up-and-coming coach. Even Thierry Henry has been offered the USA job. So honestly, watch the former Pep players. After scuttling around like a bunch of piglets, drinking milk from his belly button, they are the next wave of superstar coach. And because of Pep, Arsenal are unbelievable. But as for Palace, oh dear. And by the way, lads, if you're new, then just subscribe to get this sort of content and more. Subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. Absolute legends. Steve Parish could not have timed this any worse. Not only was Patrick Vieira sacked on actual Paddy's Day, but he was also been days before he could return to Arsenal. I mean, for Vieira, returning to the Emirates is always a special day. This is a bit like dumping your wife halfway through her eating her birthday cake. Come on, Steve Parish. He's got less tact than Chris Brown on a date. But this decision was odd. I compare it to when they binned off Frank de Boer. I could see both sides. I mean, de Boer was sacked after a 4-game winless run where they didn't score a goal. But it was his only 4 games. He was sacked 4 Premier League games into a 3-year contract. It was all a bit harsh. A bit like being dumped on a Tinder date before you even order a pint. She just looks at your Bart Simpson neck tattoo and instantly phones her mum. With the Boer, it was harsh because Palace were always in every game. His defeats were 3-0, 1-0, 2-0 and 1-0. They just couldn't score a goal. With Vieira, it was the same. An 11-game winless run sounds terrible, but I mean, their last 5 defeats have been 1-0, 2-1, 1-0, 1-0, and 1-0. And mostly playing against teams in the top half. And if you take games from the 18th of January to the 25th of February, then Palace only lost once in 6 games, playing against, again, exclusively top half teams. I mean, if you just ignore their game against Bournemouth, which they won, then Palace have not played anyone since the World Cup restart who's not hunting down a European place. So it's harsh. I mean, apparently Vieira was sacked on the phone at 7 a.m. on his way to work. How disrespectful is that? I hope Steve Powers never gets divorced, as his wife probably just received a text saying we're done while she's out picking him up and take away. This is a cowardly way to sack such a legend like Paddy V. But just like De Boer, Vieira is getting replaced by Roy Hodgson. Listen, the Hodgson appointment in 2017 was smart. I ridiculously sacked Ian and coach with a point to prove. Yeah. It's not smart now. He is nearly 76 years of age. This man who began his coaching career in 1976, he probably can't even remember his own birthday. Did nobody see this befuddling granddad at Watford last season? I'll spell it out for you, Steve. In the thick of a relegation battle, Roy picked up 1 point from their final 9 games. They were relegated with 4 games to spare, and he chose to instead just blow kisses to the Palace fans. His mind is probably so shot, he probably thinks Wilfred Zaha is his son. Hodgson is done. He's finished. You already moved away from him to upgrade to a more fancier style of football. This would be like if Burnley sacked Vincent Kompany only to beg Sean Dyche down the phone. This is all sorts of embarrassing. This man has retirement written all over his face. If this man grew a beard, he'd probably look like Dumbledore. Just let the poor bloke pick his daffodils in peace. Reeling back the years and begging a literal old man to keep you in the league when he demonstrated at Watford that he's now got the motivational skills of a wet potato. Just what? Football has moved on from Hodgson. He's older than Neil Warnock. When you get to that age, sure, it's sort of cute if you see them go for a quick fling in the championship. You're not exactly a danger to anybody down there. I mean, if someone like Harry Redknapp winds up at Rotherham, I think our heads would just tilt and go, "Ah, isn't that cute?" Yeah, it's not so cute if he's given a multi-million-pound Premier League job. It's not so cute if he's struggling to remember his left-back's name at Match of the Day. The Premier League is the billionaire league. It is too big for the Hodgsons of the world. I mean, if he's so desperate for work, go back to Bristol City, where you were a caretaker coach in 1982. Because you won't hurt anyone down there. I mean, it's like giving a toddler a plastic pair of scissors. But I mean, when they steal the bread knife from the cutlery drawer, then it's time to panic. But honestly, going from a sprightly young promising coach like Vieira to a guy literally older than the king, Palace could really go down. Southampton 3, Tottenham 3.
Tottenham, mamma mia, this situation has to, change. I look dire. I wish he was, burned alive with a stake. The players, they are selfish. I hate Tottenham. Let me please sack me.
I'm sorry for all that. That's probably such a bad Italian stereotype. I'm gonna be demonized by the same people outraged by the Simpsons drawing a poo. But lads, Antonio Conte is cracked. You know, like if you whack Humpty Dumpty with a cricket bat. Right now, Conte has got Italian egg yolk all over his shoes. Did anyone see his post-match meltdown after the crazy 3-3 draw at Southampton? For years, I've always thought that Conte was boring. His post-match interviews were boring. His demeanor was boring. Even his hair transplant was boring. Honestly, it looks like he just cuts his fringe with his scissors while standing over a bin and probably just sprinkling the dead hair on a pizza for his wife. I thought it was laughable that Daniel Levy had rejected Eric Ten Hag for not having enough charisma. And then you choose to hire someone who probably hasn't laughed since the late 90s. This man is the Italian Rex Banner. But here, Tottenham have finally made him crack. Here they were, 3-1 up and coasting against Southampton. And then they collapse. Theo Walcott, the big ex-Arsenal enemy, he just turned 34 this week. He should no longer be a credible threat to Spurs, and yet here he was, leaving the pitch with a goal and assist. James Ward-Prowse belted a last-minute equaliser, and Tottenham are in the mud. People say that Mourinho was too mean to his Tottenham players. I'm sorry, I don't remember him blatantly calling them selfish on Match of the Day. This is a man who is not afraid of the sack because he welcomes the sack. Managers don't resign anymore. The payoff is too huge. Resignations used to happen all the time in the Premier League when managers just got sick of the job. Old school bosses like Kevin Keegan, Alan Kirbishy, Harry Redknapp weren't actually sacked. They quit. Doesn't happen anymore. Who is the last manager to actually resign in the Premier League? I mean, I don't mean switching clubs like Graham Potter this season. I mean fully resigning without being pushed and just blindly walking into unemployment. Eddie Howe at Bournemouth 3 years ago, but that doesn't count because they were then a championship club after relegation was confirmed. Mutual consent doesn't count either, where the club are effectively pushing out the door, like Nuno Santo at Wolves or Arsene Wenger at Arsenal. They both were effectively sacked. So who was the last one? I'll tell you who. Harry Redknapp at QPR 8 years ago, just because he had a sore knee, and so then decided to spend a month living in a jungle, eating squirrel poo with a fork? I don't know. I don't watch the show. For all I know, Ant and Dec probably get the contestants to just lick their feet. If this was 2003, Conte would walk. But lads, the last time Conte was sacked, he was given a payout of £26 million. 26 million. Forget whether or not he was happy in the job. I would agree to have children with my sister for that amount of cash. I mean, sure, they'd be inbred mutants with 12 fingers and born without a tongue, but I mean, at least they grow up with nice shoes. If Tottenham sack Conte now, he gets £5 million. All he has to do is just put up with pigeon-brained footballers, and he keeps earning millions of quid. No way is he going to walk, even though he wants to. It's like how Conor McGregor's wife must feel. Surely she doesn't really want to stay with an egotistical, disloyal monster who's become an arrogant beast. But she also doesn't want to have to give up her Lamborghini, 8-bedroom mansion, and just go back to working in boots. Conte wants the money, but he hates himself for it. He hates the fact that he has to lower himself to the standard of Spurs to feed his kids. I wouldn't put it past him to soon call old Jesse from Breaking Bad and start chucking his wages out the window. Because to him, this might as well be blood money. Conte is a seasoned serial winner. He is proud. He puffs his chest out at dinner time, walking around his flat like Tony Soprano. But in his head, he is degrading himself by scrambling around for Europa League spots. I mean, he's probably ashamed. He probably thinks his children are laughing behind his back, as if they've just discovered that he secretly moonlights as a male stripper. That's a nasty image. I bet his chest there smells like raw cat wee. But honestly, Conte has an unhealthy relationship with the club. He hates Tottenham. So the sooner he gets out, oh, they're better for everyone involved. Right now, we are witnessing mediocrity at Spurs, absolutely rotting his brain. He expects the highest standards. Not this. It's been like a highly refined gentleman like Nelson Mandela being forced to take Miley Cyrus on a date. Yeah, you really think he's gonna be happy to see her licking meth off a spoon? Conte demands the absolute best, but Harry Kane aside, what is this? Chelsea 2, Everton 2. Graham Potter is a clown. I know, I sound so repetitive. I swear you were listening to an Ellie Goulding song.
Are we gonna let it burn, 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 burn?
Yeah, I know, a genuine dose of earache. Well lads, I am sick of repeating myself. I know, okay, if I met someone who mentions the word Potter as much as me, I'd probably tweet Daniel Radcliffe to hire more security. I get it, okay, but what else do you want me to say? This is not good enough. But I mean, do you hear that noise? That's the sound of Chelsea being brought back down to earth. They thought they had turned a corner. Again, for me, this is like watching Rings of Power. Sure, the first 2 episodes were horrible mulch, but I mean, the third one gave me hope. That was decent. And then it was back to just watching dwarves breastfeeding in a cave. This season, Chelsea have injected £600 million worth of footballers into an already elite squad. And yet, you can't even see off a Sean Dyche team at home. This is the 18th Chelsea game that Potter has failed to win. Games like this remind me of Chelsea under Gus Hiddink, and the second time around, because that was a Chelsea meltdown season. They were languishing halfway down the league, safe from relegation, yes, but their European hopes looked so out of reach. So it was a bit like an unmotivated student midway through a maths exam. Sure, he spent the first half an hour just fantasizing about the size of Bugs Bunny's knob, and then he wakes up to write down a few correct answers. Sure, he's not going to fail, but he's not going to pass. That brings sloppiness into play. Go back to 2016. After the Christmas relegation battle, Hiddink only lost 3 of his 22 league games. They actually went unbeaten from December to April. But it was like this. There were 11 draws, and high-scoring, entertaining draws. At Stamford Bridge alone, there were 4 2-2 draws under Hiddink against Watford, West Brom, West Ham and Tottenham. There were also 1-1 home draws with Man United, Stoke and Leicester, and oh yeah, a chaotic 3-3 draw at home with Everton. People talk about the Mourinho meltdown. No. The most sloppy I've ever seen Chelsea in my entire life was Hiddink in that spring. And here for Chelsea, where is the motivation to win? You really think the likes of João Felix or Enzo Fernandez are stoked about trying to finish 7th in the league? Chelsea are the height of sloppiness. So sloppy. Sloppier than a grandma trying to chew pizza when she's half asleep. Yeah, she's probably going to be picking pepperoni out of her belly button for weeks. Here, in the final minute, Kalidou Koulibaly jumps in like a wild caveman to stop Ellis Sims. He probably thinks he can intimidate this meek little boy. I mean, Sims at the squad number 50. He had never scored a Premier League goal. Koulibaly probably assumed he was just some 16-year-old boy. Yeah, Sims is not a wonder kid. He's nearly 23. He's not some frightened schoolboy who's about to burst into tears if Koulibaly shouts at him. And yeah, he slid past KK, making him look like a clown, and side-footed a fairly tame shot that Kepa should have saved. Honestly, lads, sloppiness. But yeah, calm down with Sims, okay? I've seen some people go overboard.
Sims is the new Dixie team. That is a goal of the season contender.
Who wrote that and his mum. But lads, Koulibaly is a stiff, over-the-hill centre-half who is the second highest paid player at the club. He earns double what John Terry ever did. He is just £5 shy of being paid £300,000 every single week. Is this a joke? I respect his agent. 8 years ago, he was trying to get his client to move to Norwich for about 15 grand a week. But here, Koulibaly is earning monster wages, money fit for the king, until he's 35. Wow! That 4-year contract. Oh no! I bet Todd Bowley now wishes he'd just written that on the back of a Burger King menu. He's probably looking for any loophole he can find to erase the Senegalese Maguire from the club. I'm sorry, Koulibaly. Just another donkey flop. Wolves 2, Leeds 4. Wolverhampton Wanderers confuse me. This is a team who I wrote out of the relegation battle 2 months ago when they butchered Liverpool by 3-0. Julian Lopetegui looked every inch a former Real Madrid coach. Here was the former boss of Spain, just casually sticking Jurgen Klopp's dignity into a bucket of mud. In my mind, Wolves were safe. Even though I know 3 years ago, Watford were another struggling team who began with W, and they beat Liverpool 3-0 at home in February, and yet by May, Nigel Pearson was sacked and they went down. But I did not think Wolves were Watford. No, because Pearson is an angry dinosaur coach who looks like someone who, in a past life, was a school janitor sacked for asking a 14-year-old to kiss him on the cheek. I can still taste Pat now. It was like licking sandpaper mixed with hula hoops. But Lopetegui, he is a distinguished, refined European manager, and he's been in the job for nearly 5 months now. And they've already played 2 more games than West Ham in 18th and are just 3 measly points above them. Lopetegui, I'm sure he's not watching this now. I mean, he looks like a middle-aged man who needs his grandkids to help him use the internet. I'm guessing he probably thinks Skype is a type of ice cream. But my question is, what is going on? Back in February, Wolves hilariously lost 1-0 at home to Bournemouth. I wrote that one off as a blip. You know, I've been like a worried parent who sees their 12-year-old make the decision to dip their sausages in shampoo. Okay, sure, it's one stupid mistake. You're not immediately gonna write them off having the brains of a squash banana pie. But if they do something idiotic again, okay, then maybe it's time to get them an IQ test. But for Wolves to mess up again, conceding 4 at home to Leeds? Is this really Brandon Lopetegui? You are a former Real Madrid manager, and you're getting tactically bashed up by some journeyman coach who always fails to keep his job? This is like a world supersonic Britney Spears losing a karaoke sing-off against Big Martha who sells pancakes out of a van. What's creepy is that exactly 1 year to the day earlier, Leeds won 3-2 at Wolves with Jack Arson, Rodrigo, and Luke Ayling scoring that day too. This was just weird. It was like watching Freaky Friday. Everyone in that ground would have had a serious case of deja vu. I mean, it was like watching The Hangover 2. I mean, it's pretty much the same plot and jokes. Brilliant win for Leeds, but Wolves, I would worry now. Because last season, when Leeds beat you up at Molineux, you then picked up 5 points from your final 8 games. Yeah, go on that sort of run again, and you're going down. Aston Villa 3, Bournemouth 0. Douglas Luiz is world class at corner kicks. Alright, don't worry, okay, just corner kicks. But nah, lads, average players can have world-class attributes. Like James Ward-Prowse is just an ordinary pumpy lad who can't get in the England team. In overall play, the man's gonna have a career on par with Kevin Nolan. But he's got better free kicks than David Beckham. And similarly, Luiz, this is a man who's already scored from 2 direct corner kicks this season. And here, he smacks in a low, 100% accurate cross for Emi Buendia to head past Neto. I'm sorry, I know it's weird. It's a strange thing to compliment someone on. It's a bit like walking up to a woman in a park and saying that you like the length of her teeth. But still, Luiz, give him his credit. His corner kicks make me swoon like Money Penny. But that's my biggest takeaway from this game. Erik ten Hag has been praised for being the genius manager to unlock Rashford's form. But I'm sorry, under Emery, Watkins has gone from a guy who'd scored 3 goals in his last 22 Villa games to now 7 goals in his last 9. And here, no, he didn't score, but he got an assist. He looked lively and dangerous. Why is he not in the England squad? When that squad was announced, the man must have physically felt like he just swallowed undercooked meat. How anticlimactic. The man would have expected a call-up. His form warrants it. So to be left out for some bloke who's probably named his dog Paddy Power, it's just a bit sad. It's been like the most popular girl in school waiting, expecting to be asked out by the rugby captain who looks like Matt Damon, and instead, for some weird reason, she has to go with the chubby maths nerd who hasn't touched a vegetable or female since 2004. Honestly, justice for Ollie. Now I just sound like some bitter housewife on Facebook after watching the X Factor final in 2009. But you know what the greatest thing about this game was? Brooks was here. I mean, before today, you might have associated that with the depressing old man in Shawshank Redemption. But no, this game reclaims that phrase and puts it in a positive spin. David Brooks is back on a Premier League pitch. Well done, you legend. Brentford 1, Leicester 1. Lads, imagine if Leicester City go down. What would happen to Brendan Rodgers' career? Sure, here was a positive result at Brentford, yes. But I mean, if West Ham get a result in their game at hand, then the Foxes will currently be on course for the championship. Rodgers is a man who's always been linked with huge clubs over the last 10 years. Sure, the 14-15 season damaged him at Liverpool, losing 6-1 to Stoke was bad, and he had to move to Scotland to rebuild his career. But if he gets his talented Leicester squad relegated, he'll just be stuffed in the same dustbin of unwanted has-beens like Mark Hughes and Alan Pardew. He'll probably go on to have a journeyman career like Sven-Göran Eriksson, just travelling the world and taking weird jobs. I mean, do you think he'll really want to rejoin Swansea in the championship? It'd be like agreeing to take back that ex-girlfriend from your teenage years. You know, that grubby oaf who used to steal from your wallet and sneak tampons into your food. I don't know, to me, I rate Rodgers. But if he actually does go down this season, then his reputation in the Premier League is done. What do you, let me know in the comments, or let me know what do you think of the Premier League action this week. Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe as always. I'll talk to you in a while.